Hello, my name is Joseph Carlson, and this is episode 262 of Gaming with Grief, and this is all about Tales of Kenzera Zao. This is my spoiler cast. Quick note, if you hear noise, it's because my dog, who's very adorable and older, she's chewing a bone right here. So, sorry for the noise. Just to let you know, I got a little info on the game. Tales of Kenzera Zao was developed by Surgent Studios. It was released on April 23rd, 2024. It was published by EA under the EA Originals banner, from what I can gather looking online. The footage I'm about to show you is my own. I'm trying to get a little bit better at capture and do a little bit more VO. So, you've been warned. This is a spoiler cast. I'm going to show the last boss fight in the game. So if you don't want to see that or know what's going on, I'm probably going to mute the sound a little bit, but still, you'll probably just hear some noises in the back, but I'll be talking over it. So anyway, that's the quick intro. Make sure to like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff on YouTube. I'm getting a few more subscribers, so it feels pretty good. But with that, we will get on to the full spoiler cast. Hi. Yeah, this is my footage. I'm just kind of wandering around after I got done playing the game, trying to get some of the extra things like reflections, things like that. But let's get on to the review itself of the game. I was listening to a lot of podcasts before I started playing this game properly, and a lot of people, on the podcast I listened to that played it obviously ahead of time from outlets like I don't want to single anybody out. I listen to a lot of stuff, but the idea was that in February of this year, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown came out. Actually, January this year. Sorry, which I played the demo of, and I think I gave an impressions review, but I really liked the game. I thought it was great, and after the game was reviewed, Prince of Persia anyway. A lot of these different outlets I talked about how great the traversal was, how great the mechanics were, how great everything else was, which is fine. I mean, all that obviously is very good. But I think for me, I'm not like a Twitch gamer where I have to, I'm not very good at pixel perfect stuff. I'm older. And so when this game came out, Tales of Kenzera Zao, and many of the same people that I would listen to talk about how great Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown was, how tight the mechanics were, how great the Metroidvania aspects of the game, the idea of getting an ability and going back and using that ability in a different area or a new area, that was all really cool. But I think the knock against this game, as I've heard generally, I tried not to watch a lot of reviews or anything, was that game was just tighter, more impressive. There was more traversal things, the abilities you got to basically combat. I think there was this consensus that Prince of Persia was a better kind of Metroidvania game, just for the tightness and the combat and stuff like this. But I'm going to just totally disclose how I feel about this. Now, this is just my opinion, but I am not good at those types of games. So even playing the demo, like I did, of Prince of Persia, I just think that, I'm not that Twitch-based. And so even with a game like Tales of Kenzera Zao, which I think does a great job of platforming and combat and traversal, and the Metrovania part of getting an ability and going back, it was difficult enough for me that I think you will find that, you can overcome. So if I was stuck in an area, I would kind of put my head down, try different things, barely make it. There was a lot of sighs of relief when I would get to a new area or something like that. It was pretty great. But I just, I think, and I've been thinking about this a lot, and this is just my overall gameplay things before I get into the actual grief part. I just want to go over this. But I think that certain games kind of get me into other games in that genre. Maybe, to be full disclosure, Hades came out. I'm playing it now. But when it came out and I bought it, I was playing it on the Switch. Don't worry, I'm going somewhere with this. It did not, it didn't hit for me. I didn't understand the mechanics of a roguelike. For some reason, something didn't click over. But fast forward many years in the future, and I played God of War Valhalla, the roguelike DLC that came out free, I think on Christmas Day or around the holidays last year, 2023. I think in December. Anyway, I loved God of War a lot. I reviewed it on the pod. You can check that review out. But what I found was that oh my gosh, this makes sense now. There was just something about it where it clicked into place. If I take this door, with the skull, that's a boss. I take this door, that's money. I take this door, that's armor. And for some reason, all that clicked. And what happened was I started playing Hades again, and everything clicked into place. Oh, this symbol means I'm going to get a boon from this god. This symbol means, again, it's procedurally generated and random. I may get some health, or I may get, a total to my total health may be increased. Oh, this is Charon's shop. Oh, this is a mini boss room, and I'll get this reward if I beat the mini bosses. And so it makes me appreciate that game more. Even Returnal, in a way, I was kind of like getting it a little bit, but there's something about Valhalla, and I think the art style of Hades, like it really just the tumbler started to click. So I think for a lot of people, if you're kind of not good, or maybe that isn't the type of game for you, Tales of Kenzera Zao like delivers this incredibly moving story, which believe me, I'll get into in a second. But what it does is it kind of like turns down some of those elements, but in a way makes me appreciate. Like I thought when I played again Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to play this game. It's too much. You got to do this, you got to do that. And obviously, after the game launched, a lot of people were showing what they could do with Prince of Persia's abilities, and I saw some crazy things in that game, like some challenge rooms and stuff. People were sharing on social media, and it just scared me. But I think Tales of Kenzera Zao turns that down a bit. Now, again, if you love that Twitch, whatever, you could be going like, well, this is dumb. Why is it doing this? Why is it doing that? But I think for someone like me as an entry point, this is another entry point where now what I might do is go back and try other, like Lost Crown. I may give it a shot. I think there's a couple other, maybe Metroid Dread. I played the demo again. That was like totally incomprehensible. I was like, I haven't played Metroid forever, but maybe because I played this and was able to like overcome, it's almost like what a lot of people say with From Software of like, you don't get it at first, it doesn't click, but if you beat the first boss, then the tumblers start to go over in your mind and muscle memory and stuff, and it really means a lot. And I think that is another testament to how great this game is. Again, I'll get under the grief in a second, but I was really impressed with just the design of like, do we want to make this grueling? Now, we'll get into grueling later because I have some footage that is truly... I was screaming at my screen. We had to take a break. I had to walk away. That last boss fight is crazy. But, I mean, those are my initial impressions on gameplay and stuff. So, with that out of the way, I'll get right into grief. So, let's talk about the grief of Tales of Kenzera Zao and what it means just, like, in the picture and the story that the people at Surgent Studios and Abu has told through this game. It's amazing. Yeah. So this is the boss part right here. You have to beat up your father. I mean, I'm making it sound terrible, but what it is basically, he says, "Show me what you have learned." I can't believe that I was actually able to beat him because if you're watching the YouTube version of this, you're seeing me fail several times. I did finally beat the game, though. I will probably cut to some footage of me actually beating the boss, to prove that I'm not or whatever. But what does this game say about grief? There was this part in the kind of intro of the game where, your friend, Sabulana, she's basically is terminal. She's another shaman like Zao. You meet her, and she says, "Well, I need these 3 herbs to help me. I need to make a remedy." And the Kalunga, who's like the bridge between life and death, he's like your guide. He says, "Zao, listen, if she is a shaman and she does this, she makes remedies and she isn't able to make the remedy. Like sometimes you have to accept the fact that you can't help people, and the fact that your job as a shaman is to ease people's suffering. And I think it was just really powerful. The idea that there's also a side thing with Zhao's mother leaving, and how he kind of has accepted the fact that his mom left. In the end, there's also, it seems like every boss fight is kind of this reinforcement of what it means to kind of accept grief. Listen, I don't like the 5 stages of grief at all. I think they're really dumb. It's a good way to, I've talked about it before, it's a good way to characterize what happens to you in grief, but, it's not a thing where you transition from one stage to the next, you go all over the place. And I think this does a good job of just focusing on the, like, at first he's very angry, then he kind of accepts what has happened to him, and you kind of understand, like, oh, and the fact at the end, I'm just going to shout out the team at Surgent Studios, everybody, the animation department, the voice acting. I don't know who wrote the line, but it was performed beautifully at the end after you get done beating your father or showing your father what you can do. Your training as a shaman. You hug him, and you have this really great heart to heart where you apologize, and he says, why are you apologizing? And you said, because I let you down, and like you're like, you never let me down. And it's just very heartfelt. And I mean, the tree, which I didn't write down the name of this beautiful tree in the background that is like, I guess, like, you're in the afterlife, basically, the realm of the dead. But this tree that is like a central thing in the background, you can see it if you're watching the YouTube version. You can see it in the background while I'm fighting my dad. I mean, what an amazing, just beautiful, and the weeping, like the art team just blew it away, And I was so mad trying to beat the boss, and the fact that at the end you just get to hug your dad, which it's like, I know Abu has talked a lot about. He was on an interview with PlayStation Access, their podcast, and and he did a 13-minute short video. I think it's called Two Shoes. I'll include it in the episode description, but it's basically two shoes, one walking, something like that. And he talks about his father, and it is so good and powerful. Like, what do you do? And even in that PlayStation Access interview, he mentions, for years after his dad passed, he was kind of walking in a haze and didn't really know what to do. And it's crazy because when my wife came in and watched me play the game, she's like, this has a lot of Ori and the Will of the Wisp vibes, because I haven't played it and she has. And Abu mentioned that in his interview at PlayStation Access. He says, I was sitting here playing on my Switch Ori and the Will of the Wisps, or Ori and the whatever. He was playing an Ori game, and that's kind of like where the little kernel came. And I was like, wow. But yeah, again, with the grief, the idea that EA was willing to partner with them, and they were able to tell their stories. This game made me angry at some of the boss fights, which were spectacular, but it also made me grin because I was just so blown away with just the overall acceptance of grief and the idea of, like, this is what it could be. You could be angry one minute and sad, and just you follow Zhao, like the fact that he has a full journey of grief about being he has to basically quell these three creatures of the afterlife to see his father again. And I had this feeling that Kalunga was, his father, which he was. It was like the visage of his father that followed him. And I just, I was just totally blown away by everything. And so I don't know, how the game will do. I wish them nothing but the best. I don't have a lot of viewers, so it's not like I can be like, hey, everybody, go buy this game. But if you can support it somehow, go buy this game. Also, quick announcement, this game is part of PlayStation Plus Extra. So if you have that tier on PlayStation, you can play it. I bought it before that announcement was made. I don't feel bad. I'm glad I gave them money. They deserve all the money. They deserve everything. They deserve all the accolades. I hope this game does well. I hope they're able to, do something that. Also, I wanted to announce a thing on this. So I definitely recommend this game. It says so many great things about grief, and it's done in a unique way, and it's also part of a culture. If I'm reading this correctly, it's part of Bantu culture. Like, we don't really know. This is like an Afro-future kind of thing. Like, that's not something that you normally see in, in games. It's just somewhere we don't explore. Everything's very European, which is fine, but this is pretty amazing. Like, all the little echoes you find and all the little codex with, like, all these creatures, they were inspired by this stuff. Also, I didn't write it down, but there is these really adorable creatures that are by the fast travel points. They just hang out there, and if you go to a fast travel point and just stand there, you'll heal up. If you want to decide to fast travel, you can. Please make plushies of those characters. They are adorable. In fact, if you explore it's not Zhao, it's somebody reading his story, which again I didn't write down. I'm a terrible person, but he is basically he's got them in his room, and I was like, oh man, I want some of those right now. I could put them on the end of my couch or my bed. It'd be great. So yeah, um, I'm very sorry. I was just watching my footage. Very excited about this game. It says a lot of great things about grief, the acceptance, the anger, but in a realistic way. How you can pivot from one to the other. Zhao is humble and apologizes to Kalunga. So like I always talked about this. I love seeing growth. I love seeing it when people say, you know what, you're right. Have been, I've been a bad person and I apologize. The boss fights were grueling, visually impressive, and it made me feel really great when I was able to beat them. So just an all around great game. I don't give scores or anything. I would just say support any developers, support great games, and this is both of those things. To the team, everybody at Surgent Studios. There was a full choir arrangement I saw in the credits. They had musicians, African music. Just blew me away. It said they were even at Abbey Studios in London. That is amazing. Like, listen, I hope this game was successful not only emotionally for everybody involved, because I guess it was a small team, but I hope too this team is able to continue to make great games. And with that, I think that's my impressions. Go play Tales of Kenzera. Zhao. As a quick announcement, I'm doing something on my pod. I'm doing another announcement on this. Is the idea that I made the one a couple of weeks ago where I'm going to do the in memoriam reviews of like studio's last game to basically say, hey, this is the last time these people will be together to make this thing. What I'm going to do now is I've just made like a side list in my notes app on my phone about I want to 100% some of these games that have done a really good job about, conveying ideas of grief and things like that. I am adding this to the list, and now that I have all the travel powers, they do a great thing in the game where if you continue your thing after you beat it, you start right before the last point of no return. So it's like I could go fight Baba again, or I can go to the places I've been with fast travel points, look around, get reflections, get trinkets. I only beat the game with 2 trinkets. That's insane. I need to go back. I'm sure there's going to be a trinket where I'm going to get it and go, that would have helped. That really would have helped. I only had 2. If you look into this footage, I only had 2 soul shards. So I was very starved for resources, which, what was I thinking? Anyway, with that, everybody have a good week, and I will talk to you guys next week. Go play Tales of Kenzera out.